The title of my talk is Me, Myself, and I Am. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes. Well, sometimes I feel that way. I think you all do, that we have all of these different people inside of me. It's more than just me, myself, and I am. Now, depending on a situation, and I know you can relate to this, you have to be a different person or wear a different hat. The father, the teacher, the husband, the friend, the lover, the good guy, the bad guy. How many of y'all can relate to that? Yeah, we all can, right? Well, that's the way I lived my life, wearing different hats, being a different person. And about 15 years ago, I said, nope, I'm tired of being a jack of all trades. I wanted to live my life from the I am place, the God place. Sounds easy, right? Not really. So here I was, a new practitioner. I had all the answers, right? No, I didn't have all the answers. Thought I did. Well, my favorite song at the time, and it still is Love is the Answer. And so I said, well, let's put this to the test now, okay? So let's start right there with love. Well, it's a pretty broad term, yeah? Love, get love, be love, you are love, share love, love, love. Well, where am I going to start here? So I first looked at my New Thought, New Age community, and I wanted to get the answer there. I know I didn't want to be that airy-fairy New Ager that, oh, it's all about love, and I love everybody, and it'll all work out because it's all about love. And, well, I didn't want to be that person. It kind of reminds me of that story about that guy who was caught in a flood, and he didn't evacuate, saying, I know I love God, and this love will save me. Well, the floodwaters started to rise, and his neighbors said, come on, before the waters get too deep, I have an SUV, come and join me. He says, no, I'm okay, because I know I love God, and this love will save me. Well, the waters started rising higher and higher and higher, and of course they came into his house, right? And a Red Cross boat came by and said, come on, dude, hop in. He goes, the waters are getting higher, and we can get you to dry land. He says, no, thanks. I know I love God, and this love will save me. Well, of course, the water started rising more and more and more, and he had to head up to the roof because his whole house now was filled with water. And a state police helicopter came by and flew up to him and said, come on in. We'll get you to safety. Hop in the helicopter. He says, no. He says, I know I love God, and this love will save me. Well, hours later, he drowned. And at the pearly gates, he was there, and he was pretty pissed off. He met God, and he said, hey, you know I love you, and there I was, and I thought you would save me. And of course, God said, I do love you, and that's why I sent the SUV, the boat, and the helicopter to save you. So I knew that I just couldn't talk the talk. I knew I had to also walk the walk. A spiritual practicality of love. So I was working with my practitioner at the time, and I stayed in the questions. What is love for me? How can I be love? How does love show up in my life? Well, I had to look at the different parts of my life, and first I started with myself. And I started with my spiritual practices, my morning practices of meditation, prayer treatments, love treatments, yeah. Treat and move your feet. And I was all, and I was getting it. It was working for me, doing spiritual readings. Then I took it to my music. Well, at the time, I played many New Thought centers in the D.C. area, a dozen or more, and I played pretty regularly in clubs and coffee houses in the area. So the first thing I did was change my playlist. I threw out all the let's party all night, bar anthems type of things that I was known to play. And the next songs were to go were I feel so sorry for myself. I have no money. I have no girlfriend. I Have No Life, pretty common songs with singer-songwriters, I guess. And I threw those out. And then finally I threw the ones out that were the kind of twisted, cynical, sarcastical songs that I thought were clever, but I thought were clever. So I replaced them with songs of love and hope and friendship and peace. A lot of the tunes I grew up listening to from the 60s and the 70s, and they had more depth and meaning and positive messages. I also started writing my own songs, and I would play them at the Sunday services then. And this was new as well. It was also in the early days of my teaching. I'm a music teacher, and at the time I decided then to take the message of love into the classroom. Not only with my curriculum and songs, but also with me. I became the peace guy, the 60s love guy. And at the end of my music class, in an effort to spread the message of love, I would have my students join me, and at the end of each session, in sign language, peace, love, and thank you. I still do that to this day. Tens of thousands of times I've done that since in these many years. So I'm bringing love into my classroom. And well, as this love vibe grew, it also showed up in lots of other parts of my life, of course. I softened up. I lost my East Coast, Philly, cynical, sarcastical attitude, you know. Well, my son Julian says I haven't lost it all yet. He says it rears its ugly head at Philly sporting events and also when I drive in the city. But, and speaking of my son Julian, the love showed up big time as a father. Wow, 47 years old and I'm a new dad. It showed up greatly. I love being a dad. I love being Julian's dad. It also showed up in my marriage with Harriet. Wow, pray and grow. Recently it was this love, this big love. When Harriet went through her brain surgery, that love was there, that big time. And that love brought us really closer together. It showed up in my community as well. I became a yes man, saying yes to pretty much anything that came my way. Taking examples from my favorite book, the Bhagavad Gita, I became a man of service. And it was all clicking, it was all working. This whole love thing was working. But one of the hardest obstacles was my love with God. Now, I had 12 years of Catholic school education, and I continued to be a practicing Catholic for another 20 years plus, and into my adult life, and I realized that I didn't have a personal connection with God. I had loads of faith in God, loved God, but I had no personal connection. Neil Donald Walsh's book, Conversation with God, gave me an insight of what a personal relationship could look and sound like. And that's when, in prayer, my personal mantra came to me. One God, God one. Yes, there is one God, and I am one in God. I still say this mantra today, all the time. Now, I was getting closer now. I deepened in my love in God, as God, with God, me, myself, and I am. I thought I had it there. Me, myself, and I am. Well, there's another part missing, of course, and well, there's lots of parts that were missing, but I first started playing New Thought Centers, the music there, because it was a gig. I mean, a gig is a gig is a gig, right? Hey, Sunday morning, where else am I going to play? $50, $100, 2 songs, an audience that listened. This is great, man. I love this. Better than the coffee house gigs I was doing as background music or at a bar when the game was going on and everybody was talking. So this was great. So, I went into these churches and centers, And I was playing from my new music repertoire. And I'm a pretty good entertainer. And that's what I did. I entertained the congregation and did it quite well. At the Celebration Center in Falls Church, Virginia, Reverend Sunday Cote was the minister there, and she said, you know, you're doing a great job. We love your music here. We love your energy. But I think you need to bring God into it more. I said, yeah, and I can do that. What a great suggestion. I know that I'm one in God, one with God, one as God. So then I started connecting my songs with and in and as God and experienced the higher power. It was a great experience for me. I was just radiating God, and I was God. It was wonderful. It was euphoric. But it was selfish. I mean, it was just all about me and God. Reverend Sunday confirmed that it was great, but that I needed to connect this God with the congregation as well. And that's what was missing. Connect with the congregation. Well, I made that final connection, and not only then was I embracing love, but I was putting it in everything that I did, in every aspect of my life. In our teaching, you know, we know that we are one in God. We also know that all are one in God. And then I am one with all. So I found out at this time that it wasn't me, myself, and I am. It was we, myself, and I am. What a great revelation. Now, do I practice this all the time? Yes. No. It's hard. It's really hard, you know. But, you know, when things start going south or things start going another way, I just go back to my mantra. One God. God one. And I get centered. And it works. Not in ways that I think all the time, but it works. And I celebrate the love. That love of we, myself, and I am. Peace, love, and thank you. Thanks. Thanks.